Salam, this is Brother Chuck, and I send you greetings from the beautiful coast of Turkey. And while I've been here, I've been asked a question by some brothers and sisters that I thought was very interesting and actually a hard question to answer. And the question was, what is the condition of the church and the Christians in America? And the reason that that's challenging is just because it's rather complex. That actually there are different versions of Christianity that are spreading around in America, and the surprising thing to me is that the extent to which similar things are taking place in Europe. I see, just like I see American movies and American music and fashion spreading to other parts of the world, I see American religion spreading to other parts of the world as well, and all the problems that go along with it, to be honest, and I'm an American. So I think this is not just a matter of curiosity, but also so you can understand the influences that are coming in from the outside and better evaluate what you want to do. I would describe the situation in America that my own two children are facing is not just whether to become a Christian or not, but there are two very different versions of the Christian faith that they have to choose between. And one version I would consider the newer version, which is very popular in America and in Western Europe. And the newer popular version, as opposed to the older original version, the newer version goes something like this. First, starting with the fall of Adam and Eve, the sins of the first people. They teach that when Adam and Eve fell, that the entire human race became totally depraved, that no one did anything good after that point in time. And that since we're totally depraved and can't do anything good, there's no good left in the human race, that Jesus came and died for us, and all we have to do is accept what he did, believe in him, and accept what he did for us, and then we're saved. And we will be saved for the rest of our life, no matter what we do. Because after all, we're totally depraved and can't do anything good anyway. Now there's a certain logic to this, and I want to explain to you what the logic is and how it works. So after someone accepts Christ or becomes a Christian and becomes a believer, they just have a nice life, enjoy life. It would be really nice if they obeyed the teachings of Jesus, but actually it's not necessary to be saved, because after all, you can't lose your salvation. You did nothing to gain it. There's no way you can lose it. You're totally depraved in the first place. That's the new version. It's very popular. All you have to do is believe. Obedience is nice, but not really necessary. The older, original version of the Christian faith is competing with that at the same time. This is not as popular, and when you understand it, you will understand why it's not so popular. The older, original version, and by original I mean this is what was taught in the church in the beginning in the first 1, 2, 3 centuries of the faith. If you go back and read the early Christians, and actually if you just go back and read the Gospels, this is the original message that was preached. And this is a more challenging message, to be honest. And it goes like this. At the fall of Adam and Eve, we inherited from that time a tendency to sin, but mankind did not become totally depraved. In fact, there are many people in the Bible who were commended as being righteous even by Jesus, blameless and upright. I think of Abel, who Jesus said was a righteous man. Or Enoch, Noah, Joseph, Joshua, Daniel, Job, a man that God said was blameless and upright. So man wasn't totally depraved, but just inherited a tendency to sin. But that tendency can be overcome. In Hebrews 11, we have many examples from the Old Testament of people who actually did live by faith, who were examples for us to follow in life. That Jesus came down to ransom us from captivity, that Satan has taken us captive because of our own sin, and Jesus came as the ransom to liberate us and to free us from the grip of Satan. That he came here to found a kingdom. Jesus is the king over the kingdom of God, and he said that he wanted, in Matthew chapter 24, that the message of the kingdom would be preached to the whole world, and then the end would come. So he came as the king over the kingdom, and it's a kingdom that we get to choose whether we want to be part of. But he said, you need to count the cost. You need to stop and think, do you really want to do this? There's a cost. It's not just freely believing, but you have to obey his hard teachings. Let's consider what Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, starting in verse 40. Starting in verse 46. He said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do the things which I say? Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I'll show you what he's like. He's like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on rock. And when the flood rose and stream beat vehemently against that house, it could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But he who heard and did nothing is like a man who built his house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of the house was great. So Jesus starts off this teaching saying, why do you call me Lord and not do what I say? Just believing in Jesus doesn't mean anything. In James chapter 2, James makes the point, you believe in God, so what? Even the demons believe. Faith without action, faith without an obedient response is useless. It's dead, according to James. And Jesus says the same thing. Why do you call me your Lord if you're not doing what I'm saying? You're building your house on dirt with no foundation. I make my living as an engineer, and I know the importance of a foundation. That's the most important part of a building. Because if the foundation is no good, the building is not going to last when the earthquake or when the storm comes. So the old version of the faith is not that just believe in Jesus, is we need to believe and obey and persevere. This is a much more difficult challenge.